Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So for today, we are going to continue our new chapter, which is called hypothesis testing. Okay, previously we already learned on estimation topics. Okay, so let's go for introduction of hypothesis testing first. Okay, in the case when the value of a population parameter is not known, the value will be estimated. Okay, this is on chapter 3 that we have learned. Okay, either by a point estimate or interval estimate. Okay, if a statement, which is the hypothesis, is made about the value of a parameter, we would like to test whether the statement made is true or not. Okay, so this procedure is called hypothesis testing or test of significance. Okay, so kalau contohnya sebelum ni, kalau saya tanya, what is your height? Okay, berapa tinggi awak? Okay, so akan ada yang kata, okay, tinggi saya 170 cm katakan. Okay, ataupun ada itu dia bagi satu value lah, ataupun akan ada yang bagi jawapan, okay, tinggi saya antara 170 hingga 175 cm. Dia tak sure kan. Okay, so that is interval. Okay, dia estimate kan. Okay, so now apa yang kita nak buat in chapter 4 in hypothesis testing, we want to test whether the statement is true or not. So this procedure is called hypothesis testing or test of significance. Okay, since the statement made is about population parameter, to do the test, we will take a random sample from that population and calculate the sample statistics. Based on the information from the sample, we will make a decision whether to reject or not to reject the statement made. Okay. So, in conducting hypothesis testing, there are a few steps lah. But before that, let's take a look into some definition that you need to understand under hypothesis testing topic. Okay. So first, what is hypothesis? Okay, hypothesis is a statement about the value of the population parameter. Okay, so again, the case in hypothesis testing ni dia akan mengikut test yang case yang sama dekat dalam topik estimation. Maksudnya mula-mula awak akan ada one population mean, and then kita ada different between two population mean for independent and dependent sample. Okay, and then kita ada untuk one population variance, and dia ada last kali ratio between two population variance. Okay, so dia punya pembahagian itu sama. Okay, sebab apa test yang akan digunakan adalah formula dia sama macam dekat dalam estimation punya topik lah, but dalam hypothesis testing ada 5 steps yang perlu awak ikut. Okay, sebelum saya terangkan dengan detail, kita tengok dulu definition dia lah. Okay, so untuk first tadi kita ada regarding the hypothesis. Okay, so hypothesis is tadi a statement about the value of the population parameter. So apa yang kita nak test, adakah value mean ataupun variance. Okay, adakah untuk mean untuk one population ataupun variance untuk between two population. Okay, statement yang kedua is hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing is a method that tell us whether or not to accept the hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis tadi statement yang kita nak buat tu lah. Okay, so term yang kedua adalah hypothesis testing. Okay, so hypothesis testing is a method, dia adalah satu method. Okay, and then untuk hypothesis pula dia ada dua. So yang pertama kita ada null hypothesis, and the other one is alternative hypothesis. Okay, for null hypothesis is a statement that the population parameter has a specific value. Okay, we use notation #0 to represent the null hypothesis. Okay, So null hypothesis tadi dia adalah statement that population parameter has a specific value, meaning that kita nak kata contoh mu equals to 100 katakan. So kita ada specific value yang kita nak sandarkan kepada kita punya parameter mean tu. Okay. Okay, so apa notation yang dia akan gunakan adalah H naught. Okay, to represent the null hypothesis. Okay, so for example, H naught theta equals to theta naught. Okay, where theta is the parameter and theta naught is a single number. Okay, so kalau kita nak test on mean ke, kita nak test on variance ke, it depends on us. Okay, next we have alternative hypothesis. So alternative hypothesis is the hypothesis opposite to H naught. Okay, and this hypothesis will be accepted if H naught is rejected. Okay, it is also known as the research hypothesis. Okay, the alternative hypothesis can take two forms, either directional or non-directional. Okay, so kalau null hypothesis tadi kita represent by H naught. Untuk alternative hypothesis, we represent by H1. Okay, so ingat ya, H naught tadi, null hypothesis H naught, alternative hypothesis is H1. But it divided into two types. So kita ada directional and non-directional. So directional means here. Directional bermaksud, okay, notation yang digunakan adalah, notation yang digunakan this one. Okay, maksudnya hash naught dia adalah, hash naught dia theta equals to theta naught versus H1 dia adalah theta naught equal theta naught. Okay, this one equal versus not equal. So itu untuk non-directional. Untuk directional pula, okay, dia punya hash naught dia adalah still equal lah, theta equals to theta naught. But directional dia, untuk H1 dia this one. H1 dia adalah sama ada theta less than theta naught ataupun theta greater than theta naught. Okay, so maksudnya dia guna dua ni lah. Ni, dia punya notation dia. Okay, so kalau non-directional, alternative dia sama ada not equal. Okay, directional ada either greater or less than. Okay. So, the two form of alternative hypothesis forms two type of test. Okay, one tail and two tail. So, kita ada one tail and two tail test. Okay. One tail test. Okay, kalau notation awak, kalau notation awak kurang. Okay, so dia referring to left tail test. Okay, kalau sign awak untuk alternative hypothesis ataupun H1 awak greater, okay, kita akan guna sign greater lah, and then it's referring to the right tail test. Okay, itu untuk one tail. Untuk two tail, dia punya notation dia, alternative dia adalah unequal. Itu referring to two tail. Okay, tak apa, nanti saya akan explain detail apa maksud one tail test and two tail test. Okay, cuma kena tahu dulu untuk alternative hypothesis kita ada dua, either non-directional ataupun directional. Non-directional simbol dia adalah unequal. Untuk directional simbol dia adalah less than and greater than. Okay. Okay, let's take a look into some statement or some example on the hypothesis. Okay, suppose that the average number of kilometer per liter obtained with carburetor is 20 kilometer per liter. So, if you want to show that the average number of kilometer per liter obtained with a certain carburetor is less than 20 kilometer per liter, okay, less than 20 kilometer per liter, then, okay, your null hypothesis. Okay, so kita boleh kata, since kita nak test average, that's why kita guna mu. So mu equals to 20 versus alternative hypothesis kita mu less than 20. So ikut statement ayat dia. Dia nak test apa? More than ke less than ke? So cara nak tulis H0 H1 dia macam ni. H0 mu equal to 20, mu less than 20. So untuk H0 it always equal. Ingat tu ya. Okay, yang kedua. If you want to show that average number of kilometer per liter obtained with a certain carburetor is more than 20 kilometer per liter, okay, more than 20 kilometer per liter, then, okay, so our H0 kita mu equals to 20, our H1 mu greater than 20. Okay. C. If you want to show that average number of kilometer per liter obtained with a certain carburetor is different from 20 kilometer per liter, okay, then what is our H0 and H1? Okay, so kita nak test test on average, so meaning that is mu lah. Different, okay, ayat dia different. So kalau different, H0 kita mu always equal, okay, jangan tukar. Our H1 mu not equal 20. Sebab dia kata different, dia tak kata more, dia tak kata less, dia kata different. Maksudnya kita nak test on adakah sama atau tak sama lah. Okay, D. If you want to show that the average number of kilometer per liter obtained with a certain carburetor is at least 20 kilometer per liter, then okay, yang ni okay, tadi saya kata H0 is always equal kan, tapi it depends. Kalau dia kata kat sini, dia kata dia nak test adakah mean dia at least 20 km per liter. So that's why H0 kita mu greater or equals 20 versus mu less than 20. Okay, dia berlawan lah, dia punya sign dia. Yang ni greater or equal, yang ni less than lah. H0 dia, H1 kita kena letak sign less than. Okay, next example. Suppose that light bulb produced by a certain company will be supplied to the markets only if the standard deviation of life of the light bulbs is less than 150 hours. If you want to test whether the standard deviation of life is less than 150 hours, then our H0 is sigma equals to 150. Our alternative hypothesis, sigma less than 150. Okay, so tengok statement lah. Dia nak test whether the standard deviation less than 150 hours. Okay, so dia nak test standard deviation. So kita buat statement regarding the standard deviation lah. Standard deviation equals to 150. Standard deviation less than 150. So the following are more definition. Okay, significant level is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true. Okay, this level is represented by the symbol alpha. Okay, for this alpha, the level confident is 1 minus alpha. Thus, a confident level of 95% corresponds to alpha of 5%. Okay, so if you, okay, kalau you still remember dekat topic estimation, kita, okay, dia kata, okay, construct 95% confident interval, katakan. Okay, so value alpha dia adalah 100 minus 95% kan. So kita dapat 5%. Maksudnya alpha awak adalah 0.05. Okay, tapi untuk topik hypothesis testing ni, dia kata, okay, test your okay, katakan test your hypothesis at 5% level of significance. Dia bagi tahu, maksudnya cara nak bezakan. Kadang-kadang soalan student confused. Okay, nak guna chapter estimation ke chapter hypothesis testing. Okay, so kalau soalan, dekat soalan tu dia bagi confident value dia, value yang besar, katakan 95 ke 99 ke. So maksudnya itu adalah topik estimation. Okay, tapi kalau dia kata test at 5%, test at 1%. Okay, test at 10% katakan. So value itu adalah value alpha. Maksudnya kita nak buat topik hypothesis testing. Value alpha dia memang kecil-kecil. Kalau dia kata 99%, 98%, itu tajuk confident interval. So tu cara nak bezakan ya. So student selalu confused dekat situ lah. Kita suruh buat hypothesis testing, dia buat confident interval. Okay. So significant level again is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true. Okay. So significant level kita guna simbol alpha. Okay. So maksudnya dia terus direct lah begitu, test at 5% level of significant katakan. Okay, next terms, test statistic. Okay, test statistic is a single number calculated from the sample data as a basis in deciding to reject or not to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so test statistic ni okay, kalau awak ingat dekat masa kita buat topik estimation, kita ada t-test, kita ada f-test, okay, lagi kita ada z-test, betul tak? So it will be used here again in hypothesis testing topic. Okay, so test statistic, we want to calculate a single number, okay, from the data that we have. Okay, so that value kita akan gunakan, we will compare with the critical value to decide either to accept or reject the null hypothesis statement yang kita buat tadi. Okay, the entire set of values of the test statistic may assume is divided into two regions. Okay, one region consists of value that support H1 and lead to rejecting H0 is called the rejection region or the critical region. The other consists of values that support H0 is called the acceptance region. Okay, so in deciding whether to accept H0 or reject the H0, okay, kita akan tengok melalui the value test statistik kita tu, adakah dia masuk dekat dalam rejection region ataupun acceptance region. Okay, next term, critical value or CV. Kalau test statistik tadi kita guna TS, critical value denoted by CV is the value of the test statistic that divide the non-rejection region from the rejection region. Okay, the following indicates the location of critical value for the three type of test. Okay, tadi kita ada left tail, kita ada right tail, kita ada two tail. Okay. So kita tengok left tail dulu ya. Left tail maksudnya, okay, contoh kalau kita lukis region untuk contohnya Z punya T-test ke Z-test punya bell shape curve tu. Okay. Okay, so this one is right kan, this one is left tail. Okay, so kalau left tail kita tengok belah kiri lah. Okay, so let's say this one. Okay, ni saya nak highlightkan dia. Okay, so this is our critical value yang kita tengok daripada table. Okay, so meaning that, okay, kalau dia kata left tail, maksudnya you need to focus dekat sebelah kiri. Okay, so yang saya lorekkan tu kita panggil dia sebagai rejection region. So this is called rejection region. Okay, yang ni adalah acceptance region. Okay, itu kalau left tail. Kalau right tail, okay, kita lukis. Kita akan tengok di sebelah kanan lah. Okay, maksudnya this is our critical value yang kita tetapkan melalui table. Okay, kita akan tengok Z table ke, T table ke, F table ke, nanti it's depend lah on apa test yang kita nak buat. Okay, so kita kalau rectangle, so this is the area that I want to highlight. So area yang saya highlightkan ni adalah, this one is called rejection region. Okay, so this is rejection region. Maksudnya kalau value test statistik yang kita kira tu masuk dekat dalam rejection region, maksudnya kita kena reject kita punya hash knot. Okay. Kalau dia tak masuk dekat dalam rejection region, kalau value tu berada dekat area di sini, maksudnya dia berada dalam acceptance region, maksudnya we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Itu dia punya analogi dia lah. Okay, apa maksud dia nanti awak akan lagi faham bila kita tengok dekat example lah. Cuma yang ni saya nak terangkan dalam in term of theoretical dia ya. Okay, kita tengok two-tail pula. Two-tail. Okay, two-tail. Okay, this is the region dia. Okay, kalau two-tail, kita kena tengok ada dua side, kiri dan kanan. Okay, this is left side, this is right side. Okay. So, maksudnya yang saya lorekkan tu adalah dia punya rejection region. Rejection. This one also rejection region. Yang tengah-tengah adalah acceptance region. Meaning that kalau test statistic value awak falls into the rejection region, sama ada di kiri atau kanan, kita akan reject the null hypothesis. But kalau dia jatuh ataupun falls within the acceptance region, kita fail to reject the null hypothesis. So cara dia, kita akan compare value test statistik dengan critical value lah. Okay, untuk yang left tail tu kita akan reject kalau our test statistik less than critical value. Okay, untuk right tail kita akan reject the null hypothesis, okay, if the test statistik greater than the critical value. Maksudnya value dekat, contoh kalau critical value awak, value dia 3.8 katakan, test statistik awak dapat 6.9. So 6.9 tu kita punya test statistik is greater than the critical value. So meaning that we have to reject the hash knot. So kita akan compare value nanti sebenarnya. Okay, untuk two-tail kita akan reject if test statistik less than CV, satu, ataupun test statistik greater than critical value. Dia ada dua lah. Sama ada value dia either positive or negative. Tapi kalau critical value, okay, but if your critical value berada di tengah-tengah ni, so kita fail to reject lah. Maksudnya kalau but if your test statistic is between the critical value, okay, test statistic, kalau dia macam ni, kita fail to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, now let's take a look into type 1 and type 2 error. Okay, there are two types of possible decision we make at the end of the hypothesis testing. Okay, first, we reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, H1 may be true. Okay, the other one, we do not reject hash knot. Okay, or fail to reject hash knot. Therefore, there is insufficient evidence again hash knot in favor of H1. Okay, kita tak boleh nak reject the null hypothesis. Okay, disebabkan insufficient evidence. Okay, so ada dua decision, sama ada we reject the null hypothesis or we do not reject the null hypothesis, ataupun fail to reject lah. Okay, so if we reject hash knot when it is false, or we do not reject hash knot when it is true, then we have made the correct decision. Okay, bila dia salah, so kita reject lah. Ataupun kita fail to reject dia disebabkan dia true, maksudnya we have made the correct decision. Okay, however, if we reject hash not when it is true, or we do not reject hash not when it is false, then we have made an error. Maksudnya kita buat keputusan yang silap. Kita reject dia, padahal statement tu adalah betul. So meaning that we have made error lah. Okay, so that error is called type 1 error. Okay, type 1 error is the error of rejecting hash not when it is true. Okay, so I highlight this word, error of rejecting hash not when it is true. Okay, kalau tadi kita reject dia when it is false, ataupun we do not reject hash not when it is true, kita buat keputusan yang betul. Okay, tapi kita reject dia when it is true. So that is error lah. Kita reject dia padahal statement tu betul. Okay, katakan population mean tu betul. Population mean equals to 100 katakan. That statement is true actually, but we reject dia. Tapi so that is mean that we are conducting type 1 error. Kita buat keputusan yang silap. Okay, so the probability of type 1 error is denoted by alpha. Okay, so we can write as probability of type 1 error is equals to significant level and also equals to alpha. Okay, whereas the type 2 error is the error of accepting hash not when it is false. Error of accepting hash not when it is false. Dia salah tapi kita accept dia. Okay, so that is called type 2 error and it is denoted by beta. Okay, contoh dia macam ni lah. Katakan pesalah tu dia salah. Okay, tapi kita tak jatuhkan hukuman. Dia salah tapi kita tak jatuhkan hukuman. Maksudnya kita dah buat keputusan yang salah lah. Okay, tersalah buat keputusan, ataupun tersilap jatuhkan hukuman. Okay, and then another terms, okay, power of a test, okay, is to describe the ability to reject hash not when it is actually false. That is to make a correct decision. Okay, the probability of not committing type 2 error. Okay, power of test pula adalah probability of not committing type 2 error. Okay, so it was denoted by 1 minus beta. So the following table give a summary of possible result of any hypothesis testing. Okay, so kita cara baca dia macam ni ya. Hash not is true. Okay, but we reject the hash not. So meaning that we have conducting type 1 error. Maksudnya we rejecting the true statement. So itu kita telah melakukan type 1 error. But when hash not is true, okay, dia betul dan kita tak reject dia, maksudnya kita dah buat correct decision. Okay, satu lagi statement, hash not is false. Okay, dia salah dan kita reject dia, kita reject the null hypothesis, maksudnya kita dah buat correct decision lah. Okay, satu lagi, hash not is false. Okay, dia salah tapi kita tak reject dia, then at that time type 2 error occur. Okay, maksudnya kita tak buat does not choose the correct decision lah. That it means type 2 error. So satu lagi nak ingat, type 1 error. Okay, type 1 error, sorry, type 1 error. Okay, type 1 error, rejecting true, keyword dia rejecting true. Maksudnya hash not is true but we reject dia. Okay, untuk type 2 error pula, accepting false, kita accept benda yang salah. Tu cara saya nak ingat lah. Okay, so ingat ya, type 1 error is the error of rejecting hash not when it is true. Okay, type 2 error pula accepting things hash not when it is false. Kita accept benda yang salah. So what are the relationship between alpha and beta? Okay, for any set of data, type 1 and type 2 error are inversely related. Okay, as alpha is lower, then B is higher and vice versa. Okay, a type 1 error is often considered more serious and therefore more important to avoid it. Okay, type 1 error tadi rejecting true. Okay, benda yang betul tapi kita salah. Itu yang paling bahayalah kalau kita cuba elakkan. Okay, so we will choose a lower probability of type 2 error. The exact probability of type 2 error is generally not known. The value of beta can be lowered when we have a larger sample size and a larger alpha value. Okay. So, ni yang paling penting. Step in hypothesis testing. Okay, so basically there are 5 steps in conducting hypothesis testing. So, yang pertama, you need to state your null and alternative hypothesis. Yang kedua, determine the appropriate test statistics. Yang ketiga, calculate the test statistic. Yang keempat, state the level of significance and specify the decision rules. And number 5, make the decision and state the conclusion. Okay, either to reject the hash not. So we will conclude that hash 1 is true lah. Okay, kita reject hash not. Yang kita accept adalah hash 1. Okay, meaning that the test is significant. Okay, ataupun the other decision, we do not reject hash not ataupun fail to reject hash not, then we conclude that hash not is true, meaning that the test is not significant. Okay, so in conclusion, okay, there are 5 steps in conducting hypothesis testing. First, you need to specify your hash not and hash 1. Okay, hash not and hash 1. Yang kedua, calculate your test statistic. Okay, yang ketiga, calculate your critical value. Yang keempat, write your decision rule. Ada rule dia lah, nak buat decision. Okay, yang kelima barulah decision and conclusion. So, ni step yang wajib awak buat in conducting the hypothesis testing. First, hash not hash 1. Second, calculate your test statistic, either T test, Z test, F test, okay? And then, find your critical value based on the statistical table. Number 4, write your decision rule. Okay, rule to decide either to reject or accept the hash 1. Okay, last kali barulah decision and conclusion. Okay, so that is the introduction for hypothesis testing.